The following is a feature presentation of our nation's sports show. The madness in March continues. Tonight on the nation's sports show, we analyze the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 in the March Madness Tournament for 2026. Also tonight, we make our predictions on who we think will advance to the national championship game on Monday night in Indianapolis. Also, news came down last week that we already know the first two games of the NFL schedule for 2026. The defending Super Bowl champions, the Seattle Seahawks, will kick off the regular season on Wednesday, September the 9th. And on Thursday night, the Rams and the 49ers will face each other in Australia. It's showtime.
Good up to the court, talking all that is sport, breaking down the latest news, scores, and more. Welcome to our Nation Sports Show.
It's 7 o'clock, and you know what that time means. It is our Nation Sports Show. We are here. We are live. What is going on, everybody? I am the host for this evening, Stephen Wyand, and joining me right here, right now, in the 11th hour, he wasn't supposed to be here tonight, my man who just got back from C2E2 in Chicago over the weekend, having a good time with his boys and gals down there, celebrating professional wrestling, cosplaying it up. Ezra, what's going on, man?
What's going on, everybody? I'm a little under the weather right now. Getting a little thing known as con crud, which obviously sucks, but it happens every time when you go to these mass gatherings and events, and you're bound to catch something. But I'm here. I'm ready to rock. I'll hang out as long as I can, as long as I don't fall asleep on the show like other people have in the past, and I've done. But I'll hang on as long as I can. And we got a good amount to talk to, so let's go ahead and do it.
That's all we can do. And yes, we are here. We are live. You can follow us on Twitter or X at Owen_Sports Show, Facebook.com/Nation Sports Show, and where we are live right now on this Tuesday night, 7 o'clock on the East Coast, 6 o'clock Central, 4 o'clock Pacific Time, YouTube.com/Nation Sports Show. And right here, right now, we're going to get into the news before we get to the NCAA tournament, that the NFL has announced their kickoff schedule for the first two games of 2026. The Seattle Seahawks will indeed host the first game of the NFL season, as always the defending champion does. They will have their opponent named in a near future date, to be determined, as they say, TBD. And we will find out probably, I would say, in the next month or so or two, when the full schedule is released, especially the primetime games and all of that good stuff. And then it was announced also as well that the Los Angeles Rams will face the San Francisco 49ers internationally already down under in Australia. So that's going to be interesting that already you have a Thursday night football game internationally happening. And I thought this was interesting. This was different. When you read this, what were your thoughts on this?
What was that? I'm sorry, I had a phone call. What was that, Steven? What
Uh,
were you talking?
the the NFL schedule has been the first two games have been announced. Seattle will
Oh,
be
yeah.
kicking off the schedule on a Wednesday night instead of a Thursday night. And then we have the first Thursday night game officially of the year with the Rams and the Niners playing already internationally in Australia.
Yeah. It makes sense. Seattle would have the opening game. I mean,
Obviously.
yeah, they would have the Super Bowl. They would have the. It makes Seattle since Seattle will play at home. Obviously, they are the Super Bowl champions. They do have. They should have that right. The Niners game in Australia. That's a little bit interesting. Obviously, we don't normally we haven't seen a game over in Australia. I don't think in a very long time if we have at all. And I think this is going to be a very interesting scenario with the flights, with see how these guys react to it, because obviously some of these, we see these players go to Germany and Italy this year. That they'll be going to Milan. They've been to London and and Paris. The one thing, the one thing I'm going to be interested in is to see the players react to that area and react to this long flight, because it's not a joke flight. It's like 16 hours. I know that because of my experience with New Japan Pro Wrestling, obviously, and knowing about the flights and knowing about people and how they react. um what I think with this game, the Niners, it's I mean, San Francisco's got a little bit of an advantage because they don't have to fly as far, because they're on the West Coast. But still, it doesn't matter if you're on the West Coast, East Coast, the middle, South, underneath, above, your sister's ass, whatever it is. It's going to be rough. But the game is going to be awesome, and I can't wait to see what the Australian fans think of the NFL as well. I want to see the turnout. I want to see how many different jerseys we're going to see throughout the game, because obviously we could see Bears jerseys, we could see Packers jerseys, we could see um, so many different players, so many different teams represented at these games. Obviously, I think it's going to be awesome. It's going to
I
be
think
some.
it,
It's going to be
I
something
think
completely different.
I think it is too because because let's be honest, the Rams and the Niners are probably gonna have to fly days in advance to get acclimated with the time difference and obviously that long flight and going from North America all the way to South America, and it's going to be very fascinating to see how this game goes on, because obviously the Rams and the Niners have been NFC West rivals for a long time. Their games 90% of the time are pretty competitive, and this should be no exception. But I would make the case that they probably are going to have to fly maybe about 4 or 5 days or so in advance to get ready for that game, because you can't just fly there a day or two before the game and then play the game. You got to be there for about 5, 6, 7 days to be prepared and to get from being jet lagged to be ready to be football, ready. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. And what a crowd to play in front of. Because I mean, the crowds in England, the crowds in Germany, the crowds in Spain, the crowds in Brazil have been really, really good for these NFL games. The reception for these fans has been phenomenal. I mean, no case in point when I believe it was in Germany when John Denver's Country Roads Take Me Home was being played over the PA, and everybody in that stadium was singing their hearts out. It was just so cool, how the culture of the NFL has expanded into all these different countries, and it seems like that these Europe countries and even countries as now South America are now taking to the game in the NFL, and popularity is growing over there, and it's just cool to see other cultures and fan bases alike that are eating up this great sport.
Yep, I'm very interested. I want to hear that reaction to the NFL fans out there, and really see how they react to a game like this, because obviously they're used to rugby, which is a form of American football, just with
Oh yeah.
lesser lesser restrictions on rules and all that, more fit, and it's less padding, more physical, definitely more violent. But I'm going to be interested to really see how this works out. But yeah, let's go. Let's head to Australia and let's play this showcase what the NFL is all about.
Yeah, well, let's hope there's going to be actual officials there because there has been news going around the last couple of days that potentially we could be in for another situation of replacement officials refereeing the NFL again. And if you are living under a rock, you know the disaster that was back in 2012 when during the famous Fail Mary game of the Seattle Seahawks and the Green Bay Packers on Monday Night Football took place. The infamous Russell Wilson Hail Mary pass to Golden Tate in the end zone, and Jennings was in the end zone for Green Bay, uh, trying to fight for the ball with Tate. That simultaneous catch, and they ruled that Tate came down with the touchdown. And then there was another referee that said no, Jennings came down with the interception. And then the guy who called touchdown overruled it and called it a touchdown. And it was a complete disaster. And days later, the NFL officials came back, and they've been back ever since until potentially now. Now, as we all know, in the last year or so, there has been major controversy in the NFL with the main referees over the last several years. And I know Saints fans and Rams fans won't forget the infamous NFC Championship game no call that should have been pass interference called against the Rams, but it wasn't. And obviously, referees are humans; they're going to make mistakes. But I would rather have the head referees, the actual referees that officiate these games, that know what the hell they're doing, make an honest mistake, than these replacement referees. Because there were times when the replacement referees, and I'm pretty sure you remember this too, the replacement referees years ago at times were making some of the most boneheaded mistakes as officials. And they had months in advance, they had weeks in advance, to prepare for these games. And it's like a lot of them didn't know what the hell they were doing. And I just fear that we're going to be in for another impending lockout with the officials. Because if the officials don't get the money that they want, well, they're going to be locked out.
Yeah, this whole lockdown thing is a mess, and in my opinion, it's gonna last for a while. And the NFL, especially Roger Goodell, is not gonna budge from his from what he feels like he needs, what he feels like the rest should be paid. He probably feels like that it's fair. It's just an opinion I have, but I hope they can find some way to get it done, find an increase in pay, maybe something to help them out, some compensation to make sure they stay on the field. The replacement refs thing, it's a pain in the ass, and it's going to cause a lot of issues. Speaking of reffing, though, there is a new rule that's going to be put in place. The NFL owners have approved a rule change allowing the league to step in and assist on potential disqualifications, whether for flagrant football acts or non-football acts, and initiate a flag if it was a throw. Situations like DK Metcalf's incident last year, where no flag meant no ejection, can now be addressed in real time.
That is very fascinating.
That's it's gonna help them figure out if these disqualifications on some of these players are legitimate or not. I mean, like the ref touching thing where the guy barely touched the ref and then he threw a flag and disqualified him.
And it also begs the question, too, down the line. I know they tried this a couple of years, and it really wasn't successful, but I wonder, are they going to go back to the referees, or not the referees, but the coaching staff having challenge flags, not just for challenging plays on, is it a catch, is it not a catch? Was it a first down, not a first down? But are they going to bring back for the ability to challenge pass interference or not? Because that potentially could open up a lot of things, especially in big games. Because
Yeah, because we've seen it, Steven. Pass interference calls have been critical in certain games, whether they're the a early game in the season or whether they've been the fucking Super Bowl. We've seen it happen where pass interference calls have made all the difference in the momentum shift of a game or even in possibly the last play. Hell, we saw some stuff similar to that in the into the NCAA football tournament. We saw something like that in the college football playoffs.
mm-hmm.
Think maybe that is a thing that needs to be addressed, but I
I
don't know
mean,
if it,
just
I don't know
just
if it
just
will.
throwing that out there because I mean I know that they did away with it after a year or two whatever it was, but I really think that that needs to be discussed because potentially if there is no ability for the coaching staff to have an extra challenge in their pocket when it comes to this challenge flag only represents for pass interference calls, because there have been times, especially in the NFC Championship games or the AFC Championship games or even the Super Bowl between the Eagles and the Chiefs from 3 years ago when the pass interference call that was called on the Eagles that shouldn't have been called, it was called and it changed the outcome of the game. Eagles were in front. It allowed the Chiefs to continue their drive, and the Chiefs went on Harrison Butker went on to kick the game-winning field goal in that game, winning 38-35. And it's really fascinating, to ponder that because, I mean, if they're going to be potentially, you know, changing these rules and adding different things and that, you're going to have to treat everything the same because you can't have the ability to challenge, oh, should this person be ejected and then not have things to be challenged like pass interference or, roughing the passer, potential penalties that could kill a drive. I mean, because we've seen it time and time again over the years where a team could be driving, trailing in a close game, and one critical call, whether it's good or bad, what have you, will change the outcome of a game because we have seen that happen from time to time. And it happened last year in the playoffs as we speak because the officials have blown the whistle and have changed the outcome of some of these NFL games in the last year or so. So it'll be
Yeah,
interesting to see if down the line the discussion comes up, will we get the ability to challenge for personal fouls down the line? Um, Also, I want to talk about real quick before we move to the tournament. Last night in the NBA, potentially a finals preview happened last night. The Thunder took on the Pistons in a very close game. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and company squeaked by Detroit 114 to 110. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had a great performance in this game, over 40 points in this game, just proving why he is still a top contender for MVP candidate for this year because the Thunder continue to roll. And speaking of rolling, Victor Wembanyama and the Red Hot Spurs continue their red hot streak. Wembanyama had a great game yesterday for San Antonio. 41 points, 16 rebounds, and 3 more blocks. Unreal how Wembanyama and this young Spurs team are playing like title contenders, like they've been contending for a long time. And it's incredible how the culture of San Antonio never really changes because it doesn't matter who's on the roster, who's not on the roster. Once they get those few pieces in their rotation, it's almost like the Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili era gets passed on down to the Victor Wembanyama era. I mean, just this young Spurs team could potentially be the thorn in the Oklahoma City Thunder's side come playoff time. And it's hard to believe that we are inching close to the NBA playoffs. The play-in tournament will be in a couple of weeks.
yep. we're getting close to the end. And speaking of the NBA, there was a couple of news notes I did see while I was out this weekend. And of course, dealing with this cold and dealing with work stuff and that whole bunch of happy-go-lucky bullshit. But um, we know that on Monday, yesterday, Doncic was suspended because he picked up his 16th technical foul, so of the season, or 60 technical foul of all time. I don't know what it is, but
Yeah, obviously in the playoffs, I believe it is 7 technical fouls.
yeah, he's picked up his 16th total, and so they suspended it for a game, which is last night.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta keep your cooler heads prevailing. I mean, you can't. I understand, you're emotional and this and that, but you got to keep your head in check. You got to stay calm, and and just don't let your emotions get the best of you. And unfortunately, Luca, he does that from time to time. I mean, we noticed it 3 years ago with the finals against the Celtics. I mean, he was bitching and complaining all the time. I didn't get this call. I didn't get that call. How are you not calling that? They're teeing him up. He's getting called for fouls and not shutting the hell up. I mean, dude, you just got to play better defense and play better team ball.
Yeah,
Because
um,
LeBron's not going to allow that.
no, he's not. I mean, LeBron is the type of person that won't allow it. Not even close. Other news in the NBA, the Chicago Bulls waived Jaden Ivey after making several anti-LGBTQ comments and other rants on religion and other topics based on Pride Month, which was this month. So the Bulls waived him with the usage of the words as conduct detrimental to the team. So he's out. But
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
more of a positive side of things, Steve, we do have some news concerning the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. We have 4 new inductees this year.
Oh, yeah?
One is Elena Deladon.
Mm-hmm.
Another one is Candace Parker.
Nice.
The other, Doc Rivers.
All right. Nice.
And the final, Amare Stoudemire.
Nice. One of the best big men to play in this league the last 20 some odd years, man. Obviously, Stoudemire's more famously known for his years with the Phoenix Suns and the New York Knicks,
Yep.
especially that first year with New York, where he took that team on his back and he was the star back in 2010. But very, very cool. And obviously, Candace Parker being one of the best WNBA players, a multi-time champion, and also a damn good analyst too when she was on TNT, they're doing the NBA stuff. And obviously, Doc Rivers will be known for his accomplishments winning the championship with the 2008 Boston Celtics, taking them to another finals 2 years later in 2010 against the Kobe Bryant, the Lakers. And obviously, he coached the Clippers and not in Philadelphia, yada yada yada. But we'll cherish the greatness that Doc Rivers has done in his prime of his coaching career, but not what he's done the last couple of years with the Bucks.
Let's not even discuss that.
Because the Bucks cannot catch a break. Giannis, after coming back, is now out again. I mean, just more than likely, I think that he's going to be done with the team when the offseason arrives. So,
Yeah, it's in let's see. I don't think there was much else except for Steph Curry will be should be back next week, depending on how his D does.
and Golden State wants their guy back because, man, just when they look like they were about to go on another run, the injury bug once again hits them at the worst possible time. Like, Curry, obviously, for years had serious of ankle injuries and knee injuries, and just couldn't stay healthy. And then he started to stay more healthy for years, and the last year or so, the ankle injuries and the knee injuries have started to pile up again. And obviously, we know the infamous injury with Jimmy Butler with the ACL injury that really bogged Golden State's season down. And yeah, even having his own brother Steph Curry there, like it's a great idea on paper, but man, just the injuries have been snake bitten Golden State this year.
When it comes to Golden State, they had a rough go, but I think once they get Steph back, I think they're gonna get back into rhythm, and I think they're gonna be a force to be reckoned with come playoff time.
We shall see.
Yep. Let's well, I could say this according to it. Obviously, take this with a grain of salt, but according to a dirt sheet, apparently Braun Breaker has been cleared to compete.
Huh. Interesting.
But apparently they don't want to rush him back, so they're going to keep him out until after WrestleMania. That's what the rumor is. Take that with a grain of salt. So we'll leave it at that.
And while we're at it, I got this pulled up here too with the NBA as far as right now as we stand with the standings in the Western Conference. Of course, you got the Thunder at number 1, Spurs at 2, Lakers at the 3 seed, Nuggets at 4, Timberwolves at 5, Rockets at 6, and right now the play-in tournament stands like this: Suns, Clippers, Trailblazers, Golden State. That
Nice.
is on the west side. So we shall see who takes those 7th and 8th seeds as we speak on the east side. And let's go to the Eastern Conference. We stand right now as of this time. The Pistons, of course, the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. The Boston Celtics at number 2. The Knicks at number 3. The Cleveland Cavaliers at number 4. The Raptors at number 5. The Atlanta Hawks at 6. And the play-in tournament stands as follows: 7th, Philadelphia; 8, Orlando; 9, the Heat; 10, the Charlotte Hornets. And obviously, Charlotte this year, the reason why they're in this spot they are right now is because for the last couple months, they have been playing a very, very solid. And at one point, string together 9 consecutive victories. So that is where we stand right now in the NBA's standings.
And when it comes down to it, this is going to be very competitive. Next couple of weeks, there's going to be some critical games on the line, especially tonight. There are 7 games tonight, and some of them have major, major implications. Where some of these people stand, and some could even clinch playoff spots this coming week. So everybody, just stick around.
Yeah. It's going to be very interesting to see who snags the 7th and 8th seeds on both conferences, because as we all know, the Western Conference has been considerably one of the more difficult conferences to win, because it's one of the more compelling conferences, and usually a lot of these teams end up with 50 or more wins. And again, these play-in games are going to be very interesting, and this is the one good thing about the pandemic era of the sports world from 6 years ago, is that this did implement the play-in tournament, because this gives teams who are the 9th and 10th seeds a shot to get in. So I do like that. It makes everybody that's within the top 10, especially the final 4 that are trying to get the last 2 spots, to see who can get in.
Speaking of Final Four, Steven, you want to go ahead and let's move on to the NCAA tournament?
Yes, I do. Man, what a crazy week into the weekend it was for the March Madness tournament on the men's side. There was a lot of crazy games that took place over the weekend, and yeah, just a lot of crazy stuff going down. And the schedule started off with perhaps one of the best games of the tournament, no matter if it was the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight, whatever. Purdue and Texas. This game was back and forth, a seesaw battle, two teams that would not quit. They played every possession like it was their last, and unfortunately, there had to be a loser in this game. And Purdue stormed all the way back to win this game in the end, thanks to a tip in 79-77, sinking the Longhorns season down for the foreseeable future, the rest of this tournament. And the Boilermakers would make their way to the Elite Eight on Saturday. Then the next game you had Iowa beating Nebraska 77-71. And man, this game was interesting because Nebraska at one point was up 10 points in this game, and Iowa just kept making runs, and Nebraska would start making shots and pushing that lead up again, and then Iowa just went on those big time runs in basketball, because as we all know, in basketball it is a game of runs, and Iowa and Nebraska was battling back and forth in the second half, and Iowa made their free throws. They made few more shots to beat Nebraska, and the Cornhuskers had one of the more compelling runs this year in the NCAA tournament because they won their first tournament game this year. And Nebraska has nothing to be ashamed of. What a run for these kids. I know their coaching staff is very proud of what they accomplished this year, making it further than any Nebraska team has ever done in their existence. Iowa moving on to the Elite Eight in the next round. And then you had Illinois winning their game against Houston 65-55. And the one player that stands out, in my opinion, for this Illinois team is Andrei Stojakovic. Peja Stojakovic's kid, just like his father, he is going to be a dynamite of a hell of a player. Peja for years was considered one of the greatest three-point jump shooters in history. And at one point, he was right up there in the top 3, top 4 of all-time three-point shooters. And it wouldn't surprise me if his kid follows in his father's footsteps. So yeah, Illinois took care of business against Houston. And then you had Arizona taking Arkansas to the woodshed 109-88. This wasn't even close. Then on Friday, this is where the schedule gets very interesting. The Duke Blue Devils, the number 1 overall seed, took on St. John's, and this game was very interesting again because the simple fact that St. John's in this game had Duke on the ropes in the first half. They were up. I believe they were up by as much as 10 or close to 10. And Duke made a run in the first half, and then they took the lead. And then it was back and forth. Just, the Boozer kids and and Foster coming out and having a hell of a game after going through his struggles and coming back from injuries, and had a great game as well. And then St. John's, was prepared for this game. Thanks to the coaching brilliancy of Rick Pitino, he had his kids ready for this game. And St. John's had nothing to be ashamed of. They made it to their first Sweet 16 for the first time since 1999. Great game by those kids. But Duke, in the end, prevailed 80-75 in one of the best games of the tournament. Michigan absolutely blew the doors off of Alabama. I know Joey's not happy about that, but Michigan defeated Alabama 90-77. UConn survived against Michigan State 67-63. And at one point in this game, UConn was up 19 on Michigan State, and they made a furious comeback to have a shot to take the lead. But unfortunately, UConn was just too much for them, and there were several foul calls that were making Tom Izzo and the rest of his players very furious and angry, because there was a lot of kind of ticky-tack calls that went against them, and that's the nature of the beast. Sometimes that's how that happens. Tennessee won their game against Iowa State 76-62. Another good win for Tennessee. And then on Saturday was the Elite Eight. Illinois continuing their hot streak, 71 against Iowa 59. Arizona in their game against Purdue. Or excuse me, I think I wrote that wrong. I should have written Purdue instead of Iowa. But Arizona defeated Iowa 79-64. And this game was rather interesting because, again, Arizona was down in this game by double digits against the Boilermakers. But the Wildcats made a furious comeback in this game to take command. The second half at first was close, but Arizona pulled away, and they took command of this game and pulled away. And everything that I've said, Kevin said, Joey has said, has come back to bite us, because Arizona has defied the odds, and they are in the Final Four. And this was a very compelling game for both reasons, because Purdue for the first half, was making their shots and keeping Arizona at bay, from going on a run, but then they just started missing their shots, and the Wildcats in that second half, they grabbed the bull by the horns and would not let go, and ended up winning that game by double digits. And then on Sunday, Michigan beat Tennessee 95-62. Again, another dominant victory by Michigan, and punching their ticket to number one so far, going to the Final Four along with Illinois. And also one quick note about Illinois. This is their first Final Four appearance since that team went to the national championship game against Darren Williams and the North Carolina Tar Heels. Or excuse me, Darren Williams played for Illinois, and obviously back in the day, facing the North Carolina Tar Heels back in 2005 during that championship game. And obviously that Darren Williams-led Illinois team is very proud of these kids taking on the tradition of that team from 21 years ago and making their run the furthest they have gone in 21 years. Now, I saved this game for last, because this, by far, was the most batshit crazy of a March Madness game all year long. Duke, UConn, the number one overall seed, UConn the number 2 seed. Duke, in the first half, just like North Carolina, had a 19-point lead, and also coincidentally had a 19-point lead just like UConn did against Michigan State the night before. Duke had UConn dead to rights. Cam Boozer playing lights out. Foster playing lights out. Caden Boozer playing lights out. The whole Duke Blue Devils squad playing team basketball, taking care of business in that first half, led by the head coach, John Shire. Duke had UConn on the brink of elimination, up by 15 at the end of the first half. But what happened in the second half? Duke took their foot off the gas pedal. And when you take your foot off the gas, when you're dealing with a team who has championship experience, because Dan Hurley and UConn has won 2 out of the last 3 championships. And I said it going into the weekend. I said it to my good friend Bo. I said it to you guys. I said it to Joey on the phone. I said it to Bo on the phone. I said, I don't feel good about Duke's chances because they keep playing with their food. They keep toying with their opponents. And when you keep playing like that, eventually you're gonna get burned. And oh boy, they did. Because UConn in that second half did not quit. They did not surrender. They kept fighting. They kept playing defense. Dan Hurley had his kids ready to play. And they went on a crazy run in that final couple of minutes to get back in with striking distance. And as the score kept getting lower, it was going 10, 8, 6, back to 8. Oh, 5. Oh, 7. No. Oh, okay. Here comes the run. 5. Oh, it's down to 2. Then Duke goes, and then eventually came back to a 4-point game. Then bang! There's a 3. It's a 1-point game. Then Cameron Boozer makes a shot to go up 3, and then UConn gets fouled. Missed the opening free throw. Made the second free throw. It's 73. It's 72-70 Duke. With 10 seconds to go, there was no timeout called. Now, to my recollection, I do not remember if Duke or UConn had any more timeouts at their disposal. But what I do know is as UConn was shooting those free throws, if I'm John Shire, I am telling Cameron Boozer, Caden Boozer, whoever the hell is getting the inbounds pass, do not throw the ball around the perimeter or inside the paint. What happens? Cam Boozer takes the ball up the floor, gives it to Sard. He gives it to Caden Boozer, and then Boozer says, oh, you know what? I'm going to throw some stupid fancy-ass pass. Intercepted. Intercepted by UConn. And Moyer gives it to, oh my God, what's his name? Caravan. Caravan again gives the ball back to Moyer for the most cold-blooded 3 I have ever experienced in my sports fandom. Cold-blooded 3. Not just any 3. From the damn logo. Nothing but the bottom of the net. Swish! The net didn't even move barely. Unbelievable drama at its finest. This is why we love March Madness. Because of shit like that. And UConn was on the brink of losing. And they win. They absolutely win the game 73-72. Oh, by the way, the same score as the Iowa game against Florida. 73-72. And now that is 2 number 1 seeds going down in the tournament. And the thing that has me scratching my head about this loss for Duke is, again, John Shire should have told his boys to hold on to the ball. I mean, as you've seen games, from time to time, where when there's a free throw percentage happening, and a guy's attempting a free throw and all of this stuff, that if they make their free throws and you're up by 3 or up by 4, what have you, call a timeout because you don't want to potentially lose possession, whether it be a stolen inbounds pass and just the mind-boggling coaching decisions. I did not get it. I did not get it at all.
Yeah, I don't get it either. It's simple. Call a timeout after you make or don't make your free throws. Do not give another team any momentum. Ice everything. Take a moment, take a breath, draw a new game plan, figure out how you're going to possibly do the 5-second rule, 5-second violation, or figure out a way to possibly even tip the ball to where you're able to get it back to one of your guys for another shot, or to get fouled
Exactly.
to head back to the free throw line.
Exactly.
I just don't get it. That's just poor mismanagement of the clock by
It is
by the coach.
because when Mullins stole the inbounds, when he stole the pass from Caden Boozer, and then he got the ball back, they should have said, okay, worst case scenario, we're gonna, as long as Mullins doesn't shoot that shot, but he knew he was gonna shoot that shot because there was less time to go. Worst case scenario, the ball gets stolen, you'll live with the tie. I mean, I know you don't want to do that, but sometimes to prevent disaster from striking, that's what happens. And just when Cam got the ball, he started going up the floor and they started passing the ball. I'm like, what are you doing? And when you give a team that has the championship pedigree, and then again, and Mullins was struggling at times in this game. You tell these kids to keep shooting, and eventually they'll shoot themselves out of the slump. And I mean, to have the awareness to step into the shot, that is why UConn is one of the best championship coach teams in a very long time. And Braylon Mullins just let that ball rip. Just shoots the ball and just shoots it dead on accurate. Center, nothing but net. And just, I mean, and I know Kevin wasn't happy about the loss, saying that, oh, he's got, freshmen and sophomores, they're young. I get that. But my opinion, I don't care if you're a freshman, if you're a junior, if you're a sophomore, if you are a coach, you have to settle your kids down. You have to be sure that these kids had their head on their shoulders. And obviously Dan Hurley had the rest of his squad checked, saying, hey, just because, we're out of it right now, they got us down on the ropes. We got to come back and fight. Just keep fighting, keep fighting. And they did. Whether it be Reed hitting his shots, Mullins getting going, and just incredible poise by Dan Hurley, having these kids. They were locked and loaded. They were ready to go. And even though they were down 19 in that first half, it's almost like they were like, you know what? It's a game of runs. The first half sucked, but all we got to do is play picture perfect basketball. And I was listening to the Westwood One call, and I know Reed was interviewed by the Westwood One staff, and when he said when Mullins stole that ball and Caravan threw the ball back to him and Mullins shot that three, he's like, I just had a feeling. I had a feeling that, we, like, as long as we got a shot, to do it. I think he felt like it was, they were destined, to win that game because of, again, the championship pedigree that they have established over the last 3 years. And it is just amazing, how having that pedigree can carry you to even more glory. And for a second straight year, the Duke Blue Devils have blown a double-digit lead. They were up 14 last year in the Final Four against Houston, and Houston ended up winning that game. The Blue Devils couldn't make their shots. They were throwing sloppy-ass passes, and the Cougars made them pay. Same case scenario this past Sunday. When you keep a great team around, they're gonna make you pay. And I knew that when Mullins sunk that three from the half-court line, that was it. Because it didn't matter if it was 0.3 seconds or 0.4 seconds. So they had enough time to shoot. I knew they had that game in the bag. It was done. Because if I was John Shire, I would have told my kids, the minute that free throw gets made, you inbound that ball, you hold on to the ball. Let them foul you. Because it's almost like they were trying to play keep away. And as you know how that goes, I mean, you saw it last year with your Bulls. Because who were they playing? I think they were playing like Toronto or Miami or somebody like that. And they were trying to play keep away. And Chicago stole the pass. And then, what was his face? Was it Kobe White or somebody like that shot that three?
Yeah, I think it was Kobe White. I think you're on track.
Yeah. So yeah, this is one of the first times I can recall in a big game, where it's big seeds, big time teams, that facing each other where these crazy spots happen, because usually this stuff kind of happens, like in the Elite Eight, with teams that are not in the top ranks, or sometimes it happens in the round of 32 or 64, maybe Sweet 16, what have you. But no, this happened in the Elite Eight with not just any teams, but two of the biggest schools known to man. I mean, and I know that Cam Boozer is one of the greatest, Duke Blue Devils to play, collegiate basketball. And he's going to be right up there with his father and Carlos Boozer when he goes to the pros. And obviously his brother, Caden Boozer, is going to be a great pro as well. But man, these types of losses, they stick with you for the rest of your life. Because for another year, a great Duke team was denied championship glory. Last year, thanks to Houston, and this year, Braylon Mullins with a cold-blooded half-court heave. Nothing but the bottom of the net. I mean, what more can I say? Duke hasn't won a championship in over a decade, and UConn is going to be playing potentially for their third championship in the last 4 years. The Final Four is set. UConn and Illinois will kick things off on Saturday. And Illinois is going to be in for the fight of their lives. And I wouldn't be surprised if Darren Williams and any of the ex-Illinois players show up to that game and cheer on the kids, for good luck, support. But man, these UConn Huskies, man, they are poised for another championship victory, courtesy of one of the greatest college coaches to get it done in Dan Hurley. And we'll see what happens on Saturday. And then wrapping up the Final Four, you have two number 1 seeds, Michigan and Arizona, playing against each other. And this is going to be interesting because Michigan has dominated their way en route to the Final Four. And we shall see how the Wildcats respond to this dominant Michigan team. And the question is, will Arizona keep up the great success, or will Michigan beat them as well. I mean, this Final Four is interesting because predominantly it is all top teams. Predominantly two number ones, a number two, and I don't know. It's going to be very fascinating to see what happens in this Final Four. Tough to call. Really tough to call. Especially for that Michigan Arizona game. The UConn game, I can kind of call that one because I'm thinking UConn's going to take it. I think they're going to beat Illinois. I think Illinois is going to keep it close, but I do think that uh, Mullins and company are going to squeak this one out.
I'm
I
call
think.
I'm calling it now.
What you got?
UConn, Michigan.
Okay.
That's my final. Illinois is going to lose by 2 points. Michigan's going to win by a last second jump shot.
Okay.
With a couple seconds left on the clock, but they're not going to have time. Arizona's not going to have time to get the ball down there. It's going to bounce and then boom, game over.
I don't know. I'm thinking. I think that for some reason, again, I'm thinking that Braylon Mullins is going to do it again. I think that it may not be a crazy half court three again, but I think that Mullins is going to make maybe like a jump shot to go ahead, or maybe Reed will make a jump shot. Who knows? So, one of these great players is going to make another big shot for UConn. I do think that UConn is going to pull away. I got UConn winning by 4 on a Mullins dagger 3 to put them up 4, and that's all she wrote. And then for the Michigan Arizona game, oh yeah, I'm kind of leaning where you are because again, I don't trust Arizona. I think Michigan's too good for them. I think that Michigan is going to end up pulling away by 7 and winning the game. And I got UConn winning the national championship game for a third time in 4 years. Who do you
Okay.
got?
Oh, for the final championship game?
Yes.
UConn and Michigan.
Who do you have winning?
Oh, UConn.
Yeah, I just think that since that Mullins game dagger 3, I think that sometimes when teams hit those big shots, they kind of go on this run, it kind of lifts them to that momentum, you know. Um and I just think that UConn is destined to win their third championship in 4 years. And Michigan's going to put up a great fight, I think, but I just think that the Huskies are going to be too much for Michigan. The one thing I will point out with the Duke loss is that, and I know that John Shire is very upset and disappointed in the outcome. But the one thing, I will call out the naysayers, the haters, what have you, saying that John Shire should be fired. Are you out of your damn mind? Because John Shire was the rightful coach to replace Coach K when Coach K retired. John Shire, this is partially his fault, but it's not all his fault. It's partially his fault because to me, he did not relay the message to the kids to hold the ball before Mullins stole the pass by Caden Boozer, the erratic pass that eventually, like I said, led to the game-winning three-pointer. I do think that the kids have learned a valuable lesson, and they will learn a valuable lesson because that was a simple mental breakdown. That was a young player's breakdown. And you have to prepare your kids when a big moment like that is happening. Look, we're up by this many points. Do not fumble the ball or throw an interception that leads to a shot. And I think that all of the criticisms are very warranted by the media when it comes to that Duke choked, because they did. And this is coming from a Duke fan. I'm a brutally honest Duke fan. I wanted them to win, but they didn't. That's just how the cookie crumbled. And I said going into the game, I said somebody for UConn is going to make a big play. And Braylon Mullins was that guy. He was the one that sunk Duke's season to the bottom. Duke has not won a championship in over a decade. They have not made it to the national championship game in a very long time, since I believe it was against Wisconsin. Back in, I believe it was 2015, I believe. Something like that. But yeah, but the one thing I will say is Coach K would have never allowed that to happen. He would have told Cam Boozer, if he was coaching this squad, he would have said, Cam, Caden, I don't care who the hell it is. Whoever gets that inbounds pass, hold on to the damn ball. Do not fumble it. Do not make a critical error. Do not make a mistake that is going to lead to a potential loss. Because, I mean, we've seen it in the biggest moments of any sporting event. We've seen it in the Stanley Cup Finals. We've seen it in the NBA Finals. We've seen it in the Super Bowl. We've seen it in the World Series. We have seen plays that have changed the outcome of championships being won or lost. And what people considered to be Duke's season, their crowning achievement, they're going to finally get over the hump. They're going to win a championship finally. It didn't happen because you didn't coach and didn't play all 40 minutes. It's a 40-minute game, not a 20-minute game. You have to keep your foot on the gas. Do not take any plays off. Do not take any possessions off. Do not take a multitude of defensive possessions off or offensive possessions off, thinking that, oh, I can just coast my way to a victory. It's no big deal. And then before you know it, you lost. And that's on you, Duke. You should have played better. You should have coached better. Because if you did, you would be standing there in Indianapolis getting prepared for the Final Four, and Dan Hurley and company would be sitting at home. Instead, the cookie crumbled the other way. And that's on you. And obviously, the Boozer brothers are going to go to the pros, which is not surprising. But in my opinion, and as I want to get your take on this, do you think that these young players are jumping too quickly to the NBA level, even if they think they're ready? Because I think that sometimes these players that are young could use a few more years in college to learn some more basic mechanics.
Yeah, I feel like if they had a few more years, just a little bit more time, I think that it would benefit them in the long run. It really would. I mean, is it up to them to make their decision? Absolutely. If they want to go and they wanted to do that, absolutely. Let them do it. Let them figure it out for themselves. But I think that's the way it should be done. They should take a few more, take another year or two just to get themselves ready, sharpen their skills, sharpen the tools they have. Then when it comes time to be drafted, they're at the top of their form and they're able to get better and not take as long to get better when they make it to the big time.
Yeah, I know. Now, I would say the Boozer brothers might be the one exception, but I think predominantly the majority of other players need to stay in college. But man, it wouldn't hurt, to stay in college a year or two or more, to get, like learn more defensive, mechanics, learn more, offensive moves, and work on your footwork and work on your, the intangibles on being a more complete player. Sometimes we've seen athletes not come to the pros for a bit, and then they make their way to the pros. And then there are some players that come early as a professional athlete, but they quickly get adapted to the game. I mean, Victor Wembanyama. I mean, he's a perfect example. I mean, a couple years ago, he was a rookie. He had the intangibles. He was a good, freakish athlete, but he's not where he is today. He is a more complete version of himself. The fact that he's a 7-footer, he can shoot the ball like that. He can take defenders on the block. He can stretch the floor. He can play great defense. He's got the linky arms and all that stuff. I mean, and I know Cam Boozer is a big boy. He can handle his own, and he's one of the best guys to play in the Duke uniform. And it's a damn shame that this Duke team did not accomplish winning a championship just like their father did back in 2001 with Carlos Boozer and Shane Battier and the rest of that great Duke team that won the championship back in 2001. And it just sucks that the Boozer brothers are not going to win a national championship because more than likely they are both going pro. It sucks, but hey, I mean, I'm not gonna make excuses for this team, blowing it at the end with that crazy ass three because they deserved it. When you don't put their teams out of their misery early on, and even when they make a run, John Shire should have settled them kids down. They're like, all right, I would have told them, look, settle down, settle down. I know that UConn's making a run, but we're gonna have to ride the storm out. We're gonna have to settle down. We're gonna have to make more plays. We're gonna have to try harder. And keep on, keep pushing and fighting them off. And I felt like that the messages were not, reciprocated. I felt like that Duke was just going through the motions. They weren't playing as hard in the end because they were just thinking that, oh, eventually that clock's going to hit triple zeros and we're going to be in the Final Four. That's not the way this works. So it is what it is. Congratulations, like I said, to UConn and to everybody out there that eventually made the Final Four. It should be a very, very competitive weekend this weekend in Indianapolis. But there is one question that just popped in my head, and I've read about this, when it comes to these Final Fours and stuff and these national championship games. Nothing against the college, the college athletics and stuff. But I honestly, truthfully think that it is kind of hard to sell out a football stadium playing college basketball. Does that make sense? Especially now these days. Because
No, I was just saying, yeah, I definitely agree. It's an old adage: play stupid games, win stupid prizes, and that's exactly what Duke did. They played a stupid game of letting them come back, and the stupid prize they won is an elimination from the NCAA tournament.
Yep. Now, as far as the question I just imposed on, because we know that the Final Four and the national championship game, they generally do take place at football stadiums. Do you think that it's kind of hard to sell out a football stadium playing, college basketball if there is not like the top heavyweight schools? You know what I mean? Like, I think that in my opinion, the college basketball Final Four and national championship games should be played at a basketball arena, not a football stadium. If that makes sense.
It makes sense, but also too, I think the NCAA tournament has become such a popular thing,
Sure.
especially with the March Madness tournament. It's one of the most interactive things with the brackets, with the possibility of winning a prize and all this stuff. It's so interactive with the fans, and I think it's such a hot ticket. I think it could do good numbers. Will it do the numbers of an NFL football game? Absolutely not. NFL is a juggernaut in its own.
Now, the one exception I can make is that when Duke and UNC faced each other in the Final Four, I believe that was 4 years ago. Coach K's eventual final game because UNC beat them in the end to go to the national championship game. That is the one exception because you got two heavyweight schools fighting for the shot at getting into the national championship game. And I do think that it is a case by case situation. Although I understand that the popularity of the tournament is obviously there because everybody shows up to go to the arena games during the round of 64, 32, 16, Elite 8, what have you. But when it comes to the Final Four and national title game itself, unless it is two heavyweight schools, I think it's kind of hard to sell every seat in there, but I could be wrong. I'm just kind of looking at it from a business standpoint, and all that because sometimes, again, they don't know in advance who's going to be there. It's a case by case situation. We don't know there's going to be an 11 seed making it there. We don't know there's going to be a 15, or we don't know there's going to be a 4 or 5. Who knows? But that's why they play the games, and it'll be interesting to see how many people show up this weekend. Obviously, the Yukon Faithful is going to pack out the stadium. I think the Illinois fans are going to pack out because, I mean, that's not a far drive, for Chicago people to Indianapolis.
It's
Um,
it's roughly about three and a half hours.
yeah. Um, but yeah, it's an interesting, thought that just popped in my head. Like, is it kind of hard to sell out a football stadium playing college basketball unless it is the top of the top schools that have a big ass, fan base? I mean, it wasn't hard for Duke and UNC 4 years ago when they played in that and played 4 years ago. I mean, they sold that place out in a heartbeat. It was packed. But yeah, we will be recapping the national championship game and the Final Four next week. And I know at some point, and we've been meaning to do this, we'll figure out down the line, we will eventually do a show where we do our top five. Or wait, did we already? I'm trying to remember. Did we? I know we did our top 5 sports moments of 2025. But if I'm
Yeah.
not, I know we did that. But if I'm not mistaken, I don't think we have done our top 5 NFL games yet. I
No,
don't
we have.
remember. Don't remember if
No,
we
because
have.
remember I told you that like 3 out of 5 are going to be Bears games anyway. So
Wait a minute. I think we did.
no, wait, did we do sports moments? Because I thought that
Yes, you're right. Sports moments. You're right. You're right. You're right. Yes. So we haven't done the top 5 NFL games yet.
I think two of mine were NFL games and the rest were I think the
Which,
rest was like mix of MMA and NBA, I think.
yeah, and I think maybe even the John Cena Hill turn was probably in there as well. Um, but yeah, at some point we're gonna end up doing our top 5 NFL games from the past year. Maybe we'll do that as the draft is approaching, and obviously we have to potentially do the our top 5 wrestlers on our fantasy football teams if that do that again because that was a lot of fun, a lot of fun. We'll do that down the line at some point
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
when the draft is upcoming. Speaking of wrestling, and I do want to briefly touch upon this, and I know we don't cover wrestling on this show a lot, but I do want to touch on from last night, Madison Square Garden, New York City, the mecca of sports and entertainment and professional wrestling. Brock Lesnar and Oba Femi last night had that garden in the palm of their hands. What a moment! What a moment!
Yeah, it was definitely a moment last night. Brock Lesnar, Oba Femi, dude. I mean, this feud has been red hot. Oba freaking the best part of that whole thing was um the security guard basically getting fucking yeeted up the and on the
Yes.
shoulder. I hope he got paid extra for that. But man, just it was a crazy, crazy, crazy time to see that. And of course, Pierce getting shoved, and then Oba or Triple H coming in to separate the guys, and
Mm-hmm.
to try and calm Brock down, and so. But I think this feud is one of the hottest feuds ever, or one of the hottest feuds in wrestling right now. Brock is making Oba look like a star,
Yes,
and
he is.
it seems like he's really enjoying working with him. So
Mm-hmm. And kicking off last night, you had Cody Rhodes in the ring, and then Stephanie McMahon making a surprise appearance. And her and Cody had a promo last night, and that was really fun.
fun and interesting, and kind of giving Cody maybe an edge that he needs more aggression, more violence, more maybe a darkness inside of him that he hasn't felt in a number of years since he had to bring that darkness out of him against Brody Lee in the dog collar match.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be interesting. Another thing I want to bring up is, of course, the return of Roxanne Perez, who's
Yep.
now back with Liv Morgan in a Judgment Day. And I wonder what role she's going to play at WrestleMania, because she kind of gave Liv a little bit of a look when they were beating down Stephanie. So who knows? Maybe Liv could be looking to get that title off of Liv soon. Who knows? And then finally, I think we can wrap up at least the last night with the return of the ring general Gunther and choking out.
Ah! Ha, ha! What's up?
Hey, yo, what up?
What up?
Yeah, if you're curious about my name, it's pretty much simple for all Duke fans. Fuck around and get fucked.
There you go.
Ah,
Thank you, Braylon Mullins, for hitting that dagger 3 to send Duke into their misery. And this is coming from a Duke fan, an honest Duke fan. I'm not one of those yeah. I mean, did I want them to win? Yes, I did, but they didn't because they fucked around and they found out. And Joey, I know that we talked about this at length when Braylon Mullins hit that 3, but my God, I mean, that was one of the most quintessential game-winning shots we have witnessed in March Madness in a long, long time.
I thought FAGF meant free agented and Gino's fucked.
Yep.
oh, speaking of which, it's a very interesting point that you bring up the name Gino because I happened to see a particular statement on the ESPN app earlier today that almost made
Oh, I think we lost. Say it again, Joey. Your connection cut out for a second.
Geno Smith is going to be the guy who will get us to the promised land.
Ha! In their sweet dreams. In their sweet
Yeah.
dreams.
Yeah. So that's very interesting that you bring up the name Gino there, Ezra.
Oh man. Yeah, we were just talking about Raw last night, but why getting ready to wrap it up, and then boom, you popped in. Nice.
Hey, better late than never.
That's right. But what were your thoughts, Joey? I know your Crimson Tide did not look good in the Elite Eight. They got destroyed. They got destroyed. And I know, you were thinking this team, could, potentially, make a run, but they just got swarmed and they didn't play great.
Well, like I said last week, whenever I made my prediction, I was torn between my gut and my heart, but sometimes you got to go with your gut. And that's what I did in picking Michigan last week. Did I think that Alabama was going to make it as competitive as they did in the first half? No, of course not. But the second half Crimson Tide team is the Alabama team that I've been seeing all season long, which has sucked a bunch of crap. So at the end of the day, I wasn't expecting Alabama to win, but it is what it is at this point. I mean, I didn't have Alabama in my championship game, which, by the way, my prediction is still alive, baby.
Your prediction is UConn and
Arizona.
wow, there you go.
I've had it since day one, and I'm sticking with it, baby. Oh. But since y'all were talking about WWE a little bit, how about the news that I put in the chat yesterday about my boy John Cena going to be the host of WrestleMania this year? Yes,
Yep,
sir.
not surprised. Not surprised. And just like the old saying goes, just when you think they have you, just when you think you're out of it, they pull you right back in. And I'm not surprised that Cena's hosting this year because I mean, Cena is going to be there, and obviously he's going to do something, at the show, and he's not going to wrestle again. He's making a damn movie. He's just on the stop, on the road, and he's going to be in Vegas, during that weekend.
Yeah, and like Michael Cole said last night during Raw, it can't be WrestleMania without the greatest of all time, John Cena.
Yep.
Yeah, real quickly. Also, I want to mention about the fucking where we're gonna see, and that is a 5-way ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. I mean,
I'm sorry. I hate to say it,
Penta
but
and Javon
John,
Evans alone, just sign me up, please.
The Penta ladder match for the IC title, that's going to be some crazy shenanigans. Like
I
that match.
saw, saw Penta, and they do the Escalera de Muerte match. I saw them do the steel cage match in AEW as the Lucha Brothers with Ray Phoenix.
And you were there in Chicago when that match happened.
I saw the crazy spots, the Canadian Destroyers, the the crazy dives off of that shit. Imagine what Penta could do in a ladder match with guys like Javon Evans, JD McDonough, hell, even a guy
Dragon Lee.
even a guy like Rusev,
Yep.
not known for his high flying or anything. But imagine if a beast of a man like that on top of a ladder with a guy like Penta. It's gonna be the match that could possibly steal the show. And yes, we have Brock and Oval, we got Punk and Reigns, we got Cody and Randy, we got freaking AJ Lee and Becky. You got all these great matches, but I think the ladder match has the potential to steal the whole damn weekend.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if that match becomes the show stealing match of the night. But I will say the one match that I'm looking forward to that got put together last night is the fact that now Seth Rollins is finally cleared. I wonder how that match between him and Gunther is going to go down.
Well, it's funny you should ask that because there's a dirt sheet report going around. Obviously, take that with a grain of salt because obviously most dirt sheets are wrong. But apparently, Braun Breaker has been cleared for in-ring competition, but they don't want to rush him back. So it looks like the plan is to hold off any Braun Seth stuff until after WrestleMania. which I think is a smart move to not rush Braun back for a possible re-injury. The Gunter match, yes, it's confusing at first and all this stuff, but they made the best out of a bad situation. Braun went down with the hernia surgery. Gunter really didn't have anybody because Brock's facing Oba. So what do? Seth gets cleared. Both guys are ready to go. You don't want to leave them off the card. They're two of your biggest stars. So why not give them a 3-week build and have them put a match together?
I mean, I understand that logic, but at the same time, for a matchup that's gonna be coming it's this way eventually, as far as oh, hang on a second, guys. I'll be right back.
All
All
right.
right.
Yeah, I find it interesting, but I think it's gonna be fans are the first we're gonna be saying, oh, Triple H is booking this for the sake of booking it, and blah blah blah, etc. etc.
People are going to find things to be critical about just for the sake of being critical. But
But
at the same time, people have to understand is sometimes you got to do things, off the fly to make the best situation out of the scenario.
what do you
Because, I
expect
mean,
them to do? Leave him off the card? You don't do that to Seth freaking Rollins. You don't
or
do that
Gunter.
to General. You don't do that to those guys who have been. Gunter's been on a roll ever since they freaking. Gunter's been on a roll ever since he retired John Cena and AJ Styles.
And he had
Seth,
that great match with damn Dragon Lee on Raw.
yeah, and then you have Seth, who's been absolutely playing the mind games up to a T to get his revenge on Logan Paul. And then, finally gets himself cleared. And here he is, going after Heyman. It makes me wonder, did Heyman pay Gunther off to protect him? Since Brock is preoccupied with Oba, and it
And if
seems
people are paying attention, didn't Heyman say to Adam Pearce, if you think I don't have anything, I don't remember everything he said, but he basically told you I have something up my sleeve.
Heyman is 3 steps ahead of everybody else. When you're thinking of plan A, he's thinking of plan G.
Yep.
That's the way Heyman is. He will always be thinking 3 to 5 steps ahead of you. You think you got him cornered. In reality, he's got you cornered, beat, victimized, and decimated by the time you even get to the match.
Yep.
Because Heyman is that shrewd and that intelligent of a person. Whether it was him as a manager, an advocate, or even the guy who ran ECW, it didn't matter. He always had something up his sleeve. And while we wait on Joey to get back, another thing, I think I was gonna mention something about, oh yeah, baseball. I mean, baseball's going on. It's hot and heavy. Couple of injuries already happening. Some people out for a good chunk of the season already. But I think the biggest news story we got to talk about is Tiger Woods.
Yes, unfortunately, with that news over the weekend.
Well, it even gets even more crazy. That is, Tiger Woods has officially stepped away from golf to seek treatment for whatever issue he's battling. So
This is not Tiger's first, rodeo with this stuff. I mean, he crashed his car years ago.
yeah,
He was they found him with alcohol in his system, and he was very intoxicated. And surprisingly, they didn't charge him. They let him go. The only thing he got really was a ticket, but other than like license suspension and all this other stuff, like nothing happened. And now this happens. And fortunately for Tiger, he did not kill anybody or himself. And I just hope that he can get the help that he needs. Tiger Woods back then was the golfer's golfer. He was a winner, winning all of those golden jackets and just just winning all those championships in the world of golf. I mean, he's won so many Masters and all those green jackets and stuff. I mean, he's won so many so much prizes over the years, and it sucks. I mean, he is for years he was considered the role model, and people looked up to him. And then when he had all his marriage, marital problems and stuff. I mean that stuff happens. I mean, I'm not making any excuses for the guy, but Tiger Woods redeemed himself by winning the Masters back in 2019, which was one of the greatest sports moments of the 2010s. Um, but it just sucks. I mean, we don't. And the thing that I tried to think about from time to time is we don't know these people. We truly don't know these celebrities. We don't know what they go through on a daily day basis. We don't know them as people. Only thing we know them for is their excellency in whatever sport they do, or if they're a musician, what have you. If you're an actor, if they're a singer or a wrestler, an MMA fighter, a boxer, that's all we know them for. There are very few people that know these guys and gals on the outside. And Tiger Woods, I think, I really truly think that he's been battling, demons. And unfortunately, another incident happened over the weekend that we've been talking about here for the last couple minutes. I just hope, I pray that he can get the help that he needs.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
nobody wants any of these athletes to go down these dark paths and deal with horrific circumstances.
Yeah, exactly. All the best to Tiger.
Yeah, that was definitely a big story over the weekend.
Yes, sir, it was.
And obviously he's withdrawn now from the Masters coming up. So because his
Absolutely.
health is more important than a golf game.
Yep.
So we shall see what happens. Anything cool going on right now on NXT?
Well, it started off with Mike Santana and OTM taking on Dark State. Of
Nice.
course,
T-
Santana picked up the victory, or not Santana, but the team picked up the victory after Santana hit spin the block, and then OTM hit their finisher.
TNA
Uh,
champ in the house.
yep. Right now they're doing they did a promo segment with Johnny Gargano and Miles Bourne for this Saturday for the NXT North American title match.
Nice.
It was a very strong promo from Johnny telling Miles that if I find the old Johnny Takeover, that I'm going to eat you alive and prove to you why I was Johnny Takeover, why I was Johnny Wrestling. And he said, I need to win this. And it was very strong promo, very good. Right now, Birthright is members Uriah Connors and Stacks are taking on the two members of Los Americanos, Rybo and whatever the other dude's name is.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, but yeah, Los Americanos right now versus Birthright. I believe Kendall Gray is going to take on JC Jane tonight. I believe unless that's a different. That could be a stand and deliver. I know there was an incident earlier today outside of New York City. In New York City, at a right right near a hot dog cart between Zarya and Soruka. It was filmed for NXT. Obviously, it was part of the show, but it made it look like Zarya went up to Soruka at the hot dog stand, and it took several people, including Nikita Lyons, to keep them apart. So that's
Very
pretty much all.
interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty going on in NXT, my man, right now.
Well, I think that will do it for tonight.
Yeah.
Nice surprise by Joey coming on. I hate that he had technical issues, but he glad he could make an appearance tonight. Final thoughts?
Just overall good show. It sucks that I'm dealing with this little bit of a cold. Feel like crap, but whatever it is, what it is. I'm gonna take some cold medicine after this. I'm probably not out, but
Oh yeah.
but but it was good to be on. Helps out a little bit. And glad we got to get into a lot of different stuff. Got to break down some of the things that we did, especially with the NFL coming up. With the NFL draft coming up, there's been some major news updates and all that stuff, and of course to talk about the possible lockout with the refs. Got into the discussion about, of course, the NCAA tournament. We're down to the Final Four. We're getting close to the end here. Of course, the NCAA championship, the Final Four matchups will take place later this week. Will take place with the NCAA with the championship game taking place on the 6th.
Yep, and the women's will be on the 5th.
Yep, and that's pretty much it from my end, man. It was a good show.
Speaking of the women, all 4 number 1 seeds are in the Final Four for the women. So there's that. Yeah. But it should be a lot of fun this upcoming weekend with the Final Four. We'll see who advances to the championship game, and we will also be talking about that next week as well. So yeah, I think that is going to do it for tonight. Thank you to Joey for joining us here tonight briefly. Thank you for those that watch live and on demand. Thank you guys for tuning in as always. You can follow us on Twitter or X at @Owen_Sports Show, Facebook.com/Nation Sports Show, and where we are live on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 6 o'clock Central, 4 o'clock Pacific, 5 o'clock Mountain Time. YouTube.com/Nation Sports Show, where we talk about everything in the world of sports. Be sure to like, share, subscribe to all your family and your friends that love the world of sports. And next week, we will be back on live recapping the Final Four. Should be very interesting to see who makes it to the championship game. We will also recap that as well. You can also follow the Nation's Corner on Twitter at Nation's Corner. Everywhere it's on the YouTube, the Instagram, and the Facebook pages, it is simply at the Nation's Corner. They are live mostly every Saturday night, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 6 o'clock Central, 4 o'clock Pacific. And with that being said, we are out of here for tonight. So thank you to Joey and for Ezra joining here tonight. I've been your host for this evening, Stephen Wyand. Hope everybody has a wonderful rest of your week. Hope everybody has a happy Easter this weekend that celebrate. And have a great rest of your weekend, upcoming weekend. Enjoy the wrestling, enjoy the sports, or whatever else you get into. We'll see you next week. Same time, same YouTube, By God channel. Peace.
Turn me up. Turn me up. Turn me up. Turn me up.
Thanks for watching this week's feature presentation of our Nation Sports Show.